Hey, it's Robert Plamondon here, Robert Plamondon Hypnosis in beautiful Corvallis, Oregon. I want to talk about saying it the way you want it. Because in our society, we tend to say things in the negative. My favorite example is when a little kid's carrying something in a way where it's very likely to get dropped. A parent will call out, "Don't drop it," and the child instantly drops it. Every time. I mean, it always happens that way. Well, what does that mean? Now, some people say that means that the brain can't process a negative, but it's not that simple. The brain can process a negative, but the main thing is that things that are vivid and specific tend to be acted on the instant you imagine them. And so, especially when somebody says something in a command tone, right? So, don't drop it. To understand the sentence, you have to imagine dropping it, and you have to imagine doing something else. Throwing it, juggling it, balancing it on the top of your head, setting it down carefully on the ground, or even taking it carefully to its destination the way you should. So what we're talking about is, so the funny thing about a logical negative is that we stick a not in front of a statement. Now we're saying that, okay, out of all the possibilities of the entire universe, don't do this one. The infinity of other possibilities, okay, they're okay. So any of those. So that's not actually what we mean most of the time. So say it the way you want it. Instead of say don't drop it, we say be careful. And or even if we have time, something more specific like use both hands and be careful. So we want to be. So it's not about negatives. It's about the way. It's about being specific and vivid. Okay, in hypnosis especially, we want to be specific and vivid. And so sometimes this is kind of hard because people are coming with us to say that they want something negative. They want to stop smoking and they don't even know what else they want to do. They want to be non-smokers. And so not smoking is, so basically what I do, and this is fairly typical with hypnotherapy, is that we basically say, we do a time sequence. Instead of whatever you're doing now, you're going to do this other thing. Okay, so instead of wanting a cigarette, you're going to want something else. Instead of thinking about cigarettes, you're going to think about something else. Instead of, noticing cigarettes, you're going to notice something else. Instead of, and you're a non-smoker by thinking and wanting and feeling and doing things differently from what smokers do. Basically, you don't want tobacco, you don't notice tobacco, you don't use tobacco. Instead, you use other things. And the more specific we can get, the better. Though sometimes I just give homework to clients saying that you're going to find other things to think about, other things to want. And I even do the clever one, or I think it's clever, to say that in the past, you didn't really want a cigarette exactly. I mean, it's not like cigarettes actually doing that much for you, really. The cigarettes are a substitute for stuff that's actually more desirable. And so you're going to, your homework is for your unconscious mind to work out, possibly while you sleep and dream, the things that the cigarettes are substitutes for, the things you'd rather do or think about. And then when when neurons are firing and it's causing your brain to say, well, that set of things mean it's time for a cigarette, you're going to find out what they really mean, what they've always really meant, or if they reject the always business, or what they mean, what they're going to mean from now on. Either way, that works. So we don't just erase things, we replace them. You don't erase, you replace. The other thing is with saying it the way you want it is you want to have the most specific, most actionable, most emotionally vivid thing in the picture to be what you want. You don't want to freak people out by saying, okay, I don't want you to plunge off the road to a fiery death, when what you could say is, stay centered in your lane. Okay, I mean, it works a lot better to give something actionable that doesn't cause people to panic and freak out. It really does. And so say it the way you want it. You don't say, don't run aground on that sandbar. You say, steer the motorboat around the sandbar. So many gentler ways of saying these things. So you say it the way you want it, so it sounds like it's just a strategy. It's just a new way of thinking things, not criticism. It's not there's an infinite number of things we don't want, and there's a few things we really want. And what we're going to do is we're going to select the things we want. That's what we do with a good strategy. There's infinite number of ways of failing. There's a large number of ways of succeeding, and we're going to select from the success things. That's the way you do it. So you say it the way you want it, and there's several things that happen. One is it works a lot better. It works a lot better. The other thing is too that when somebody says something that has some imagery in it, like don't drop it, and you are forced to imagine dropping it just to parse the sentence and understand what's being said, then you also get some of the emotional impact of that action. So you get some of the bad feelings around dropping it just from the fact of visualizing, from imagining it. The fact that we tend to react to imagined things as if they're really happening is why storytelling works. It's why movies work. So we tend to react to things as if they're really happening, even when they're imaginary. And our body reacts to them as if they're really happening, too. So if you really want to stress people out and give all sorts of stress hormones in their body and give them a lot of muscle tension and have them feel really bad, just put everything in the negative all the time. That'll do it. And in fact, that's typically what we do in our society. So knock it off. Say things the way you want them. So, and it really works, because if you say things in ways that people can handle easily, then it lets them not struggle with all these negative feelings you just stirred up, but focus on getting the job done and getting to a pleasant, successful conclusion. So, it's just avoiding rattling up the skeletons in the closet and staying actually on the actual topic. It's kinder, it works better, it's more specific, it's more direct, and it takes some practice. You'll find that if you practice it enough and talking to other people, your own self-talk inside your own head starts getting more positive as well. And that's really valuable. It's very, very easy to come up with thoughts, feelings, visualizations that will cause various parts of your body to hurt, cause your stomach to hurt, that sort of thing, cause your heart to pound. Horror movies are good for that. But we can actually just think things that'll make us do that. And a lot of us do as a matter of course. And not doing that, but instead, it's not just about not doing that, but the thing is to positively do the thing. Think in terms of positive outcomes. And yes, you don't just get all Pollyanna-ish and pretend that everything's going to go perfectly. No, but you treat negative outcomes as obstacles to be avoided or surmounted, challenges to be overcome or even withstood and endured, but on your way towards the positive outcome you're looking for. So rather than treating negative things as being isolated catastrophes, they're just lumps and bumps on the way to a better outcome. You do it that way and you'll find that things settle down pretty well. You can focus on actually getting what you want or helping other people get what they want. I'm Robert Plamondon. If you like this video, remember to go ahead and subscribe to my channel, and maybe even bop over to my hypnosis site, hypnosiscorvallis.com, and sign up for my newsletter. And I work with people. By the way, I do hypnotherapy with people both in Corvallis and over Skype anywhere in the world. So Skype video, it's cool. So so take a look at that too if there's some work you'd like to do. See you later. Bye-bye.